I want to talk to you a little bit more about this issue of inheritance, because it really is so very important. And many of us are just not aware that there is such a thing. But God says, I am your inheritance and you are mine. So if he's our inheritance, that means that everything that Jesus has is ours. The Lord, the Father in the story of the prodigal son said, Son, everything I have is yours. And God says the same to us. I will give you the nations an inheritance. But you're not going to give a Lamborghini to a kiddie that hasn't mastered a tricycle. So there's something in between getting the kingdom and coming into Christianity. We're just learning to ride the tricycle. So now we're thinking about, I want to drive the Lamborghini. I want to see some power. But we can actually, lose, gain or trade our inheritance. And these things are quite scary. Adam lost it in the garden. He had dominion over the whole of the earth and everything was going to come forth easily for him. But he traded it for a little bit of information from the tree that he was told not to eat from. Esau was another guy. He traded his inheritance for a mess of pottage. And usually we will trade our inheritance for something that satisfies the desires of our lower nature. Sexually, hungry. Esau was hungry, he gave it. Knowledge. We will trade this thing. So we can lose it, we can trade it, or we can gain it. And in Proverbs it says something about an inheritance hastily gained. We can grab it with both hands, like the prodigal son, and then go out and waste it. He had his inheritance. He came into it, he went off, he spent it. So this inheritance business is much more important than we know, and we need to value it. Because Esau counted his inheritance as nothing, Jacob came into it. Jacob knew what he was getting when he thought about inheritance, and he was going to be second to receive it. But in actual fact, by screwing his brother Esau out of it, he got it. But then Esau was compliant with that. What's my inheritance to me? Give me something to eat. I'm starving. But this inheritance that we have comes freely with salvation, but not quite freely. Salvation is free. Inheritance means a change, as we spoke about before, because it's about behaviour. Salvation is absolutely free. Inheritance means that there are some things you'll have to go without to get it. So if your God is your belly, if you see what I mean, that being your God, that being the thing that you worship, your appetites, be they sexual, physical, whatever they are going to prevent you coming into your inheritance. So God doesn't come to you with a big stick and say, I want you to stop X, Y, and Z. He's saying, it's about inheritance, my darling. I want you to have this, but while you're doing that, I can't give it to you. These are the things that actually we don't like to hear, but you've got to have your sprouts as well as your strawberries, you see. And I'm a good mother, so I'll make sure you get your greens. So sometimes now, as we get to know one another, I'm going to say things to you that you're not going to like. But because you know I love you, you'll allow me to correct you, won't you? Because that's the whole thing about leadership. If the sheep know that the leader loves them, they'll let themselves be corrected. We can't take correction from someone who's waving a big stick at us and who doesn't actually want the best for us. So a little word of advice to you is never put yourself under someone who hasn't got a bigger plan for your life than you have. And the leaders that God is raising up are going to be people who are more concerned with your welfare, your future, your destiny, your purpose, than they are with growing their churches. Just dropped a hot potato right there. And do you know something? I have freedom to drop these hot potatoes, because God is saying He wants His prophets to speak it like it is these days. So you need to be sure that the person who's teaching you're sitting under is more concerned with your welfare, your growth, your destiny, your prosperity, you coming into everything that God has for you, than they are with growing their church to big numbers. Now, that's going to be something hard for some of you to swallow, but I believe it's the time we're in. Because we are to mirror Jesus. And He only ever wanted the best for those people who followed Him. He wasn't about anything but volunteers. There were no pressed men in His service. When discipline and desire get married, they produce delight. So as you allow Him to discipline you, desire will come. And that will produce the baby called delight. You will be delighted with what you become, with seeing the kingdom, with walking into your inheritance. And perhaps another time we'll talk about the things that will mark out your inheritance. God has a territory for you in the Spirit, marked out with the claim pegs of victory. Let's go get it, eh? Let's put our foot on the promised land and say, this is mine, I'm having it. God bless you as you think about that one.